Thank you for joining us. I'm Jesse.
I'm John.
And this is our brand new channel, It's Raining Coffee. Hi, John.
Hi, honey, my love.
Oh, you're so sweet. I am so excited that we get to be here today to have another discussion in our top 5. Why don't you go ahead and tell us what we are doing today?
Well, first of all, before I tell us what the top 5 topic is, I do want to let our audience know that this is totally in fun.
Okay.
But we're just here to have a good time. There's a lot of negativity out in that world, and we're here to put some fun and joy out there.
Absolutely.
So we're having a good time. I hope you're having a good time with us.
Yes, I hope so too.
Without further ado, I'll jump into it.
So, tell us about our topic today.
Our topic today is animated series.
It's a good one.
Rules.
Okay,
I know how much you love rules.
Well, not so much, but okay.
Okay. So it cannot be a full-length feature video.
Okay.
However, if a movie is included in a series, that's okay.
Got it. Okay.
2, it has to be an animated, or it can be a computer animated series, computer generated CGI,
okay.
etc., etc.
Got it.
And 3, it has to have aired on a major network or streaming service. Sorry, indie fans, we will get to you. We will show you some love. But for this segment, we're sticking with the mainstream for now. So
I certainly hope my list accomplished all of those.
Well, I'm
rules.
here to judge that.
Great.
Objectively, of course.
Sure. Yeah, that's what you're doing, is being objective.
Of course, I'm always objective.
Okay, well.
Why don't you kick us off with the first? You're first. I'm dying to know. I'm here to learn.
Well, I'm happy to go over my top 5 today. I have to say, just as things I learned.
Oh no, it's a disclaimer. God.
Yeah, I'll put a disclaimer on it. No, it's not a disclaimer. It's just more of like, I was really surprised by how much this caused me to really dig into some of those old memories. Yeah. I'm really excited that we get to talk about them today. So with no further ado, I'll get right into my number 5.
Okay.
And this is one that really took me by surprise because I had very much forgot about it. So again, my top 5, The Pink Panther Show.
Ooh. Old Pink Panther show or new?
The old one.
Okay.
Yeah, so this was originally a show that was made in 1969 and 1970. And this show aired in syndication on the Cartoon Network back in 1997 to 1999, which is very much when I would have been watching that.
Yeah.
That was...
You're not that old.
No, I was very much not alive back in 1969. So that completes my number 5 on this top 5.
My list, I did start with, is it more deep rooted? And there are so many animated shows. So also,
for sure,
this is not a finite list. It's nothing. It was so hard to whittle it down to just 5. So I went with shows that I could remember off the top of my head, and I started writing them down. And from there, I got the list. But I did do a little bit of research and did see some shows, but it got too overwhelming. So I had to pick. So, basically, I went with laughability. How did it make me feel? Is it a good time?
So you created your own criteria.
My own mini criteria. So I was in the rules. It is the only way that my brain would explode, or we'd be here for 6 hours.
This could be a 12-part series.
So we're not going to do that. So characters. Anyways, characters are very important to me. You'll see the themes. You'll probably piece them together. So my number 5 The 1990 version of the Powerpuff Girls.
Oh, I knew Powerpuff was going to be on here because when I met you, you had expressed a very strong feeling towards Powerpuff Girls, and I believe the phrase you used when I met you was, "Oh, look, there's the Powerpuff Girls. These are my daughters."
My adopted daughters, yes.
Mm-hmm. Please go ahead.
Yes,
I won't interrupt you any further.
I had all 3 plushies. And it was so weird. Like, why did I like this show so much? And I think it's because it's so obscure and so silly and nonsense, but also so sweet and so cute. Because you have 3 5-year-olds, they're in kindergarten, saving the world before bedtime. That's the motto.
That's cute. I think that's really cute. What a great idea for a show.
I can't remember that voice actress, but the one who does Bubbles. Bubbles was my favorite. And that voice actress, it's Tara something. I'm sorry. But she went on to do a lot of other things that I like too. So they're just so fun. It's so fun to watch it. I could put it on in the background and still watch it. You know, you had kind of this Professor Utonium, you know, being this kind of surrogate father. He loved them as his daughters, yet he created them in a lab artificially. You know, I mean, little girls made from sugar, spice, and everything nice. So little girls are made of. Except you. I think there's a little arsenic in there. Poison.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit more realistic.
But anyways, that is my top 5. It was, yeah.
Okay.
It's just fun.
Well, I think that's great.
Number 5.
I did want to let you know, if you didn't know this, I've never seen it before.
It's okay.
So
to each their own.
Maybe one day when we introduce that to our children, we'll get to watch it as a family. That'll be fun. All right.
Number 4.
My number 4 is Animaniacs / Pinky and the Brain. And that is one of those shows that I watched quite a lot as a kid, because that was an afternoon show to turn on and enjoy. And it also was in connection to Tiny Toon Adventures. So in my brain, they're all kind of connected. I see Tiny Toons, Animaniacs, and Pinky and the Brain kind of all in a big glob in my mind.
Contrast to that, I always saw as Animaniacs contrasted with Tiny Toons. I was a Tiny Toons person.
Oh, okay.
Not an Animaniacs.
I felt like they showed them in succession. I couldn't tell. Yeah. I couldn't find information about it, but it seems like they just showed them in succession of one another. So yeah. I thought it was all kind of one big show, I guess. I would have liked for Pinky and the Brain to be just even on its own, because it is my absolute favorite part of Animaniacs. Pinky and the Brain has its own like 41 episodes now. And I'm not entirely sure if that includes the newer ones that they just made a few years ago. So, you know, sorry, my research was not super thorough, but they did bring Animaniacs back and Pinky and the Brain just a couple years ago on Hulu, I believe. And that has been fun to watch. And I will say I haven't even watched all of it because there was something that stopped me from like wanting to get into it, because at the time I just didn't have the I knew I wanted to savor it, and I knew I wanted to save it, because I was like, oh, this is so cool that we get these new episodes and the voice actors came back. But I love Pinky and the Brain. I love the Animaniacs, and it's just so zany and wild. And Pinky and the Brain, particularly because you have a mouse that lives in a lab who wants to take over the world, and his voice is by, I believe, Maurice LaMarche. And
shout out.
He's doing an impression of Orson Welles. And I always thought that was so hilarious. And especially as I got older, when I realized who Orson Welles was, and I was like, that's funny. That is so funny. And then you contrast that with Pinky, who is his little sidekick, but they are equally fabulous and hysterical in their own right. That's my number 4.
Number 4. Cool. My number 4 kind of digs back to my childhood. So my number 4 is the Super Mario Brothers Super Show plus Legend of Zelda.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I think it's funny that we both kind of had a combo show as our number 4s.
Yeah.
That's interesting. There's no rehearsal. We keep our list secret until now, until we tape.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I have very fond memories of this show because I remember getting out in grade school and running home to catch it because it was on
like right after school.
Right after school. And I remember Fridays was Legend of Zelda Fridays.
Oh, nice.
I can still remember the themes. The music was a big thing. Can I remember the intros? And I remember the combination of the plumbers, the live actors, kind of introducing the show.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd have different versions of the Super Mario Brothers show. So you'd have, maybe Super Mario Brothers 3, because Nintendo was huge at this time. It was blowing up. And then when Super Nintendo came out, we got Yoshi. We got the dinosaur version of Super Mario Brothers in the later seasons. So it started out with a little bit of 3, mostly around that. But then, More Mushroom Kingdom, and I went to the Dino Kingdom with all the dinosaurs, and Yoshi came. But I remember Bowser being the greatest villain. I still hear his voice because he's this Brooklyn, I've been smoking for a long time kind of voice. And I remember, and Mario Brothers 2. They just kind of lumped them all together. Yeah. And I remember the scene where a turnip flies and hits Bowser in the head, and he turns around and he goes, "Who threw that vegetable?" That kind of humor. Who throws vegetables?
Yeah.
As assault weapons. But
that's a good one.
Anyway.
Well, thank you. I'll go into my number 3.
Yes, number 3.
Number 3 is Scooby-Doo.
Oh, this is spicy. Scooby-Doo's 3?
And once again, we're back to 1969 to 1978, apparently, is when that show originally aired.
Reality is flipped upside down. I don't even know you anymore.
Well, I think you do, but you're getting a little. You think we'll get into it.
Sorry, I'm getting ahead. I'm pushing the thing. Sorry. Go. Do your thing.
I think you have a lot of preconceived notions coming into this.
I did.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
I think you need to. Recognize that there's a lot out there too. So I had just as much trouble creating this list as you did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Woo. And the placement of Scooby-Doo on that list for me was probably the hardest thing that I had to do.
Okay.
And that is because this show really has been a part of my life and something that I have loved so much. It also must have gone into syndication and been on the Cartoon Network sometime in the 90s and then even, much into the 2000s. So it had a resurgence with new shows that they created around that time. And then there's movies and then there's variations of it too out there. So it's really nice if you go on IMDb and search Scooby-Doo, you can see just all the stuff. And I also found out just a few weeks ago as I was trying to find something for our son to watch, all of them, almost every single thing, because Cartoon Network is available through HBO Max, you can watch all of them, everything that's ever been made, basically, that's Scooby-Doo. I love it. It's so much fun. What do I love about that show so much, you ask?
Yes, inquiring minds want to know.
What isn't there to love? It's mystery. And I think that show is so fun because it's these kids solving a mystery and their wonderful, wonderful dog Scooby-Doo who helps them so much in this process. And it has become an iconic thing of the kids find that the alien or the robot or the monster is not really an alien, a robot, or a monster.
Gasp! No!
It's in fact Mr. Smithers! Yeah, I mean, it's a classic bit now that has existed since that show has been created. Yeah, I love that show so much. I'm gonna keep watching more and more of it. So I think it will always be around.
Yeah, I don't know. I never got into Scooby-Doo. Something about Great Dane that could talk, and
Ruh-roh.
the whole van with stoners in it, kind of.
What?
I don't know.
See, and that's a thing that, like, contextually has also been kind of
Whoosh,
like,
when you're young.
yeah, you really don't get like that very specifically in the show, I don't think, and especially as kids. And
right,
our generation grew up in a very different time,
of course.
So I think there's a lot to be unearthed there, maybe for another time.
Some of the things I've watched with the adult filter, wow. No wonder I am the way I am. Anyways.
I'm not even sure what that means, but I definitely think there's a reason why you are the way that you are.
Speaking of which, that leads me to number 3.
Yay!
Is the Critic.
So I'll just add, that was on my number 5 until I had to bump it out for Pink Panther.
Pink Panther,
so.
It stinks.
Critic.
As John Lovitz is absolutely fantastic. Lovitz is absolutely fantastic in it. And I'm sad it only got 2 seasons, but I see why. So I think the jokes are starting to get a little stale towards the end. There's only so many times you can make a fat joke at him, or a bald joke at him, or a short joke at him. Something at his expense.
I think the comedy is in who he is, and there's not a lot of room for character progression, perhaps.
Perhaps, but he's a, you could say, a successful film critic. And he hates everything. But he hates everything because everything he reviews is bad. It is purposely bad, which is poking fun at Hollywood making terrible movies. But the whole world hates him for giving these terrible movies bad reviews. And yet he's the only honest person in this whole society. And yet everybody hates him for it. It's like, well...
And his best friend is Paul Hogan.
Well, a ripoff of Paul Hogan, but because there was a time where, Crocodile Dundee, in the 90s, that big Australian fad was hitting America.
Oh my gosh.
And just the cameos they had in there and all of it. And, he has a son, he's divorced, his wife hates him, absolutely hates him, but he also... there's also a lot of good morals in it of, do you sacrifice your integrity and who you are to make somebody else happy when they are genuinely not great? Does he just, not tell them the truth to save their feelings?
Yeah, well, I think it's more
sacrifices happiness.
He would be sacrificing his integrity about who he really is and what he really thinks for just being more successful.
Yeah.
And making everybody like him. Because if he would just stop being so mean, everybody would like him, and his whole life would be perfect, and it would be just roses and wine.
That's like his boss. I forget his boss's name. His boss is like Rupert Murdoch.
Oh my gosh.
It's kind of like him. He's just relentless billionaire who has no morals whatsoever. He's all about, we'll do this because it'll make the fans happy. And Jay says, no, I'm not going to do that. And then the next scene, it's him doing that because his boss told him to.
He's walking a line there. He's walking a line between doing what he feels is right and doing what he's being told. Got it. Yeah, I love that show so much because I don't know where it aired, but it was a show that was on in the evenings, so it was kind of a show we would.
It was on Comedy Central, I think, for a while.
Yeah,
I think it's where it started, but it was on ABC or NBC in the 90s. Like it did have a slot.
Yeah,
but it wasn't very popular.
No, I don't think so, But still, I think a cult classic now at this point, because there's a lot of people in our age group who are probably like, oh my gosh, I love that.
There's a lot of things that are relatable now as an adult to this guy. So
good one. Yeah, I was gonna put that as my honorable mention since I had to bump it out of 5. Yeah. Well, that takes me into my number 2.
Okay.
So-
We're getting into the end here. I don't know. All my guesses are gone now.
You're gonna be kicking yourself because number 2.
Oh no! Sorry, I still have one left.
Bob's Burgers.
Bob's Burgers.
I mean, that's an obvious right there, actually.
Yeah.
And that one is my number 2 because it's just absolutely kind of still seems new, so it's very fresh for me.
Recently got into it.
Well, your sister and brother-in-law told us about it, and I had heard about it and never actually turned it on to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
And like so many things that in the last 10 years have just kind of sort of gone past me, but that show, we started watching it and just got more and more in love with the characters. And I think Bob's Burgers is pretty popular and it has a pretty big following. It has definitely taken off, and they continue to make episodes. But my favorite thing about it is definitely the character of Tina, and I wrote down that she is voiced by Dan Mintz, and Tina's character, she reminds me so much of young Jessie, so much. There's just something about her, the way in which something will be given to her or said, and she'll just stop in the moment and have this like little fantasy about how she thinks it's gonna all work out and be. And it's always like her getting an award for something.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, gosh, that is a great thing to see somebody else experience, because I felt like that's how I saw my life. And it's almost like what we do, what her and I do internally is imagine our life as a movie in some way, in which all of these events lead up to this great big grand celebration of us being told, oh, because you took on this responsibility, you were able to accomplish all of these things. But it never works out that way. Mm-hmm. But we still fantasize in our minds that it's going to be some way. And then her other thing too is just, her obsession with boys. I definitely could relate to that as a big character point when it comes to Tina. Maybe not specifically butts, but her obsession with boys, and just always kind of like trying to make sure she's got things figured out when it comes to Jimmy Jr., but she doesn't, but it's on again, off again. I didn't have any relationships like that. I did not act on any of the things that I thought or felt in my...
So you weren't that boy crazy?
I was boy crazy, but it was all in my own mind. Yeah. So...
Good for you.
And I think that is not untrue of most 13-year-old girls. So,
I wouldn't know. Okay. I kind of have a guess what your number 1 is now. But
if you don't know what my number 1 is, then I'm gonna have.
Well, I know now.
I have to call it. Like, you really don't know me at all.
I don't know. I mean, you got Scooby Doo out of the way. It's like, oh well, that was my only worry. Anyways,
please let's talk about your number 2.
My number 2 is something pretty fun. Something I watched a lot growing up, whenever I could.
Look at the list.
The 1987 to 93 DuckTales.
Good choice.
The original DuckTales, where the voice cast, where it still sounded like ducks. Yeah, that's kind of a big thing for me, minus a couple characters like Launchpad didn't have much. The villains weren't really, that, and the Beagles, I can't remember the witch. I was always after his number 1 dying. Mm-hmm. Anyways, I know everybody probably has the intro going through their head right now.
That's the part I remember.
But it was something that I watched a lot as a child, and it was, I don't know, adventurous. It was fun, but also exciting, because there was elements of danger in it, and I am going to give a shout out to the movie that they made too, because that was some peak 90s animation, was that movie. I can't remember the actor who played the genie. See, I didn't research my stuff. I wrote it down and things I could remember and what I felt like, or what I felt when I watched it. So, I mean, there's nothing really much to say about it. Go watch it. It speaks for itself.
Enjoy it. Love
Enjoy it. It's so enjoyable.
Yeah.
And you know, for maybe some of the younger people, if you've seen the newer DuckTales and haven't watched the 87 version, the animation's a little gritty, but it's still really, really fun. And I think if you enjoyed the newer DuckTales, you probably enjoy this one too.
It's a good time for sure. Yeah, and you'll get that jingle stuck in your head and it will never go away.
I think it's on Disney Plus. You can watch them, all of them on the Disney.
Yes, it is.
So
yes, it is. Good one. That's a great number 2.
All right, number 1. I want to know what number 1 is. I want affirmation.
So
I want to feel kind of.
Proud of yourself.
Yes.
You feel really proud of yourself. That you knew all along.
I knew all along. Yes.
Oh yeah, sure
Yeah.
you did. Sure you did. So my number 1 top 5 favorite animated series is Gravity Falls.
Called it.
Yes. And this is what I was trying to tell you last night. Is I almost forgot about it completely.
It happens. It happens.
It's like having a blind spot in your life where you're just like, wait a minute, what about that thing that I love so much? And I couldn't even think of it. So
I mean, it's like an elbow on part of your body. You don't think it's there, right? It's there. It's part of you.
Yeah.
Whatever, But if you slam it on the table, oh, I remember it now.
Yeah, that is a really good analogy for how I felt. I remember sitting on the couch in our apartment. And I was just looking for something to watch, and I saw the name Gravity Falls and immediately sparked my interest because I thought, well, that sounds fun. Because it is what it says. It really has a great title because it kind of really introduces you right into what it is, which is 2 twin kids who are on summer break and have been sent by their parents to Oregon for the summer in order to go to their great uncle.
Grunkle.
And in this case, Grunkle, the first time I ever heard that term, their great uncle's house or cabin in the woods. And it is an adventure of 2 seasons. I wish there was about 100 more seasons, but I'm sure it's a good thing that there's only 2. But this is another great Kristen Schaal, the voice actress. She plays Mabel. And I think Mabel is another character that you can really relate to as a teenage girl, even though it's such a heightened experience and it's really silly, but it's so fun because she's so cute. And Dipper is equally fun and cute for, a little boy character. And I love Grunkle Stan. I love all of those characters and the mystery of it all. And so what I had to kind of come back to after Scooby-Doo, Gravity Falls, and even Animaniacs and Pink Panther, there's kind of an overall theme in there, which is mystery, adventure, and crime. Sometimes there's things going on that have to be investigated, and there's problems that have to be solved, and that has always been a lot of fun for me. And Gravity Falls is such a fantastic journey. And I was gonna pick an episode and say, oh, this is my favorite episode. And I was like, I looked at all the episodes and I'm like, there's no possibility that I could choose just one, because there's so many great moments, and it has generated for us a lot of things that we now quote.
Yes.
As well. We say a lot of things from that show. So if you haven't seen Gravity Falls, please go watch it. It's definitely on Disney Plus
and Hulu. Are you ready for mine?
Let me prepare myself.
Now, if you don't know what this is, then you don't know me.
Honey, the first time you said I want to do a top 5 about the animated series, I thought, I guess I already, spoiler alert, know what your number 1 is, but I'm going to give this one to you and pretend like I don't get it.
It's act surprise.
Honey, what's your number 1?
It's Futurama.
Oh my goodness, you're kidding.
Yeah,
DuckTales.
actually, I am. That's not my number one. No, it is my number one. Yeah. You mentioned Maurice LaMarche, like, yeah, because he's in that. Billy West, John DiMaggio, Katie Seagal, Tress MacNeille, just brilliant voice actors and actresses. And Simpsons didn't make the cut, but definitely Futurama for Matt Groening's creations.
Oh yeah, I get that.
It's zany, it's fun, it's bizarre, and the whole premise of taking somebody that just got through the 90s, flash them to 1,000 years later, and yet they're still tackling the same themes that we're dealing with today in the future in a totally different way.
Yeah.
And yet still dealing with it 1,000 years later. But also poking fun of a lot of things that we do now.
Yeah.
So
I love that he was a delivery boy, and then he gets to the future, and what
Still
do they
delivered.
what do they do? They just make him another delivery boy. I think
Yeah.
it's-
yeah,
So that his existence really kind of stays like right here. It's very non-linear in that way.
I'm gonna spoil the pilot here because if you haven't seen it, I'm sorry, it's been out for 20 something years now. Go watch it. But the pilot is him hating his life as a delivery boy. He gets frozen, gets to the future, gets analyzed because they assign you a job in the future. They assign a job best at what you're best at. And he was best at a delivery boy. Doesn't want to be a delivery boy. This whole thing of being chased down to install his career chip, yada, yada, yada. This whole thing of, I want to just do what I want to do. I want to be myself and be what I want to do. And then by the end of the episode, he's working for his nephew who has a package delivery service in a spaceship, and is basically explained to him what he's going to be doing. He goes, all right, I'm a delivery boy. Like, he's excited to still be a delivery boy.
Well, he gets to do it on a spaceship. That's pretty cool.
But it's still the same thing, so that's good.
I know.
Anyways,
I know. That's part of what I love about it.
Just the bizarre, layered humor, and I think that's the theme of my stuff.
Yeah.
Is it's obscure and odd, but silly, but also very satirical in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
Which is me. I like to, I like to poke my finger in the status quo.
It's true. And satire is a huge part of.
I'm very professional about it too, with the most distinctive, elevated responses and sophistication.
Absolutely. Indeed, yeah. Lots of good stuff. Well, I think that this top 5 has been amazing. I've really enjoyed going on the journey of, like, like I said in the beginning, going back into some of those childhood memories and pulling some of those things forward.
I'm very nostalgic right now. I'm gonna go watch some TV.
Yeah, I think we should definitely think about what other kinds of series we like, and especially I think it's so much fun to talk about stuff from our childhood and really that nostalgia of it all. And so I really like the top 5 kind of going into some of those things today, and maybe in the future we'll see what else we come up with. So yeah,
Stick around.
Yeah, we'll see what we have coming up next time. Anything else you want to add before we get this episode closed out for today?
Thank you for joining us again. We have fun. I had fun. Did you have fun?
I had a lot of fun.
It's just fun poking fun at each other.
Yeah.
But if you like this, you want to hang around, you want to see more, please hit that like button, smash that subscribe button. Take care of yourself. Take care of your mental health, your physical health. We love you. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. I've heard this quote, kindness is free. Sprinkle it everywhere. And we will see you
next time.
next time.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you have a great rest of your day.